You're sitting in your car, it's 5:30 p.m., the engine's off, but you haven't opened the door yet. You just need 3 minutes of silence before you walk into a house where someone's going to ask you where the scissors are, why the Wi-Fi is slow, or what's for dinner. You aren't just tired, you're responsible. If you were born between 1976 and 1985, you're a Xennial. You're the designated adult in the room for the entire human race right now. You're the person your parents call when their computer freezes, the person your boss calls when the project is spiraling, and the person your kids call when they can't find their own shoes, even though they're staring right at them. You feel responsible for the generations above you, the generations below you, and the crumbling social contracts in between. But here's the question we never ask. Who gave you this job? And why does it feel like the entire world would stop spinning if you stepped away for 5 minutes? Today, we're going deep into the psychology of the Xennial burden, the competence trap, the silent contract, and why your brain was wired to be the permanent troubleshooter for a world that's forgotten how to fix itself. In my previous videos, we talked about being the bridge generation. We're the ones who remember the analog world, but built the digital one. But that bridge isn't just a metaphor, it's a weight-bearing structure. Psychologists talk about a concept called role strain. It's what happens when the demands of your various identities, parent, child, employee, citizen, become mathematically impossible to fulfill. For the Xennial, this strain is unique because you signed a silent contract in the late 90s that you never actually read. The contract said this: because you understand how things used to work and you know how things currently work, you're now the primary custodian of reality for everyone else. Think about it. Your parents often live in a version of reality where institutions still work, where you can just walk in and hand over a resume, or where the news is always true. Your children live in a reality entirely mediated by algorithms and 15-second loops. You're the only person in the family who speaks both languages. You explain to your father why he can't click that urgent link in his email, and you explain to your kids why their worth isn't measured in likes. You're managing 3 different versions of the world at the same dinner table. Translation, by its very nature, is one of the most cognitively exhausting tasks a human brain can perform. But why did you accept this job? To understand that, we have to look at how you were socialized. Most Xennials grew up with a very high internal locus of control, the belief that you're responsible for your own outcomes. You weren't necessarily latchkey in the way older Gen X was, but you were the last kids told to figure it out, and actually forced to do it without a YouTube tutorial. You became foundational problem solvers who learned early. If something was broken, you were the primary agent of repair. Fast forward to 2026, that childhood survival mechanism has turned into a midlife curse. Because you can do it all, everyone lets you do it all. This is the competence trap. In any organization, whether it's a Fortune 500 company, or a suburban PTA, the reward for being the person who gets things done is simply more things to do. You've become the default person. You're the one who remembers the birthdays, the one who knows where the spare key is, the one who notices when the neighbor's dog hasn't been let out. You aren't doing these things because you're a control freak. You're doing them because your brain literally can't unsee a problem that needs solving. To you, an unsolved problem feels like a physical itch. And that leads us to a deeper, darker layer, the psychology of surveillance. In the 90s, when you left work, you were gone. When you left your parents' house, you were free. There was a natural friction to life that allowed for mental boundaries. Today, that friction is gone. You're reachable 24/7, and your responsibility has become a global feed. You feel a subconscious weight for the state of the world because you're the last generation that remembers when the world wasn't on fire every 10 seconds. You remember objective truth. You remember when a friend was someone you sat with on a porch, not a data point on a screen. Because you have a control group for reality, you feel a desperate, unspoken need to preserve it. You're trying to hold back the tide of semantic flattening, where everything, from a global tragedy to a pasta recipe, is treated with the same level of digital urgency. You want your kids to feel the grass. You want your parents safe from scams. You want your friends to stop doom scrolling. You've become the security guard of the human experience, working the graveyard shift with no coffee. But here's the thing almost no one talks about. action state, orientation. In psychology, action-oriented people focus on goals, but Xennials often get trapped in a state-oriented loop when it comes to others. You aren't just fixing a computer for your mom, you're managing her emotional state so she doesn't feel left behind by the world. You aren't just helping your kid with homework, you're managing their anxiety about a future that looks increasingly unstable. You're grieving the version of you that didn't have to be the fixer. You remember a time when you were just a person, not a resource, not a provider, not a permanent troubleshooter, just you. But as the world became more complex, you stepped up. You filled the gaps. You became the glue. And now, you're afraid that if you stop being the glue, everything you love will fall apart. This is hyper-responsibility anxiety. It's the belief that your effort is the only thing keeping the chaos at bay. In an increasingly volatile world, that belief is a recipe for a quiet, crushing burnout. Not the kind that looks like a breakdown, the kind that looks like someone who is fine, but has forgotten how to breathe deeply. So, how do we fix the fixer? Your competence is a gift, but your compulsion to save everyone is often a conditioned response, a leftover habit from a world where you had to be your own hero. You're allowed to be a human being, not just a human resource. The world survived before you were born, and it will survive even if you turn your phone off for 3 hours on a Sunday. Your parents might struggle with the remote, your kids might be bored, and your boss might have to wait for an email. In psychology, there's a concept called interdependence versus codependence. Responsibility is a two-way street. By doing everything for everyone, you're robbing them of the opportunity to develop their own internal locus of control. You're keeping the world dependent on you. If you feel that familiar tightness in your chest, that feeling of, if I don't do it, it won't get done, try this. Next time someone asks you a question they could Google, wait 10 seconds before answering. Give the world a chance to fix itself. You've been the bridge for a long time. You've carried the weight of 2 eras. You've translated the past for a future that doesn't always want to listen. You've done enough. The occupational chronicity we talk about on this channel, the way our brains are wired for a different rhythm, isn't a sign that you're outdated. It's a sign that you're exhausted from trying to maintain a baseline of sanity for everyone else. If you're new here, I recommend 2 more videos that are also part of this Xennial series. And if this video resonated with you, they will too. Watch them when you're ready. And if anyone in your life needs to hear what you just heard, please share this with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone is say, "This one's for you. Please subscribe if you want more." I read every comment, and this community exists because of you. Take a breath, and please know, you matter.